Today's video is a pretty exciting one for me anyways, because I'm finally testing out the farm loop software from 3D Farmers. I've got it installed on the P1P behind me as well as the A1 Mini over here. So today's video is just going to be focusing on the version for the P1P, but the process is pretty much the exact same once you upload your files to the 3D Farmers website. The P1P version consists of two risers that I don't currently have installed on the back of the machine that kind of lift it up at a 45-degree angle to help with pushing the material off or getting it at the right angle to push the material off. It also uses this little bar here that attaches to the bottom of the P1P. And basically all that does is push up on the build plate or crack the build plate 5 or 6 times before the print head goes to push your parts off. The A1 Mini and A1 version do not have that, which is why I chose to go with the P1P version or the P1S X1 Carbon version. First is because I'm printing with PETG, it tends to stick to the build plate a little bit better than something like PLA would, even after it's cooled down. So I wanted to give it the best possible chance at success, and in most cases, I'll only be using this for PETG anyways. So I figured it's the perfect test to actually see how this system works. The only other thing on the P1P version is the little pusher on the front of the print head that basically snaps up in front of where those fans are to give it a little bit more strength and I guess structure to push those parts off. So we've got that printed out and installed. Everything here fits on one build plate, although I did print it with 2 separate build plates just because I wanted the little front cover to be a different material. Oh, and there is one more part for the P1P version. There are 2 little, I guess, clips or covers that go onto the back of the build plate to help hold the actual build plate onto the machine. So they snap on to the back where the reference points are, and they make sure that the build plate doesn't come loose when the platform drops down and starts pushing up on it to crack the parts loose. That is the P1P version. We will take a look at the A1 Mini version in a different video, but just a quick overview. Essentially, it's got same pusher-like mechanism on the front of it, although this one is slightly different. And then we've also got our little base here, which kind of slants the machine forward to help with releasing some of the parts. If we look inside of the 3D Farmers Farm Loop software on their website, they've got a couple different options. Basically, what you'll need to do is download your 3MF file from Orca Slicer or Bamboo Studio. In my case, I'm using Orca Slicer, and this is gonna come back to bite me in the butt in a little bit, and I'll show you what I did to fix it. But you need to download your plate sliced 3MF file or your plate sliced print file, so you have that 3MF file that would normally get sent to the printer. Then you can upload that to Farm Loop software, and there are 2 versions. There's a pro version and a free version. Because I haven't used it yet, I just wanna make sure everything actually works the way that it's supposed to. I'm gonna stick with the free version. You do get 3 pushes of your part, so we'll take a look at that in a little bit as well. I'm only gonna set this up for 2 pushes, so it'll print a batch of 2. Push them off of the build plate and then rerun that print again and push those ones off of the build plate. There's 2 different cooldown methods that you can choose from. One is a time-based cooldown, which in the Pro version, you have the ability to change the time. And there's also a temperature-based cooldown. For this one, I went with the time-based for 3,600 seconds. That's what you're locked into on the free version. And if you do the math, that's 1 hour, which in my environment is a little bit too long. So it did end up taking a full hour for the build plate to cool down before it actually started the push process. And by that time, I think it was at like 18 or 19 Celsius. The temperature-based one that locks in at 25 degrees Celsius on the free version anyways. Again, you can change that on the pro version to whatever temperature you'd like. Again, I'm on the free version. I would choose temperature-based and 25 degrees because for me, that would probably only take about 15 or 20 minutes versus having to wait that full hour that I ended up waiting on this one. Aside from that, there really isn't too much to it. What I will say though is if you were using Orca Slicer, you may not be able to send your files digitally. I did have to pull the SD card, and you'll see that in a little bit. I had to pull the SD card out of the machine, plug it into my computer, and manually drag the file from Farm Loop onto the SD card. You can use Bamboo Connect from what I can tell. I just wasn't able to actually get it to work. And opening the file from Orca Slicer in Bamboo Studio to try and then send it that way also didn't seem to work. So I'm not really sure what the issue is surrounding that. Maybe it is a thing where even if you're on an older version of the firmware like I am, it still won't let you send the files digitally for whatever reason. I'm sure somebody out there can fill me in on that if you want to leave me a comment in the comments section below. But it was a pretty simple process. The SD card just pops out of the top. I've got a little adapter that plugs into my computer, and it's as simple as saving the file from the FarmLoop website and dragging it onto the SD card, and we can start it from our screen. Now, because I've got the Panda Touch from Big Tree Tech, I was able to go into my files on the screen, choose which AMS slot that I wanted to start with, and it made it super simple. So if you just have the regular printer screen, I'm not exactly sure. I think it would just go to your default mapping, whatever you sliced and saved it for. So that might be a little bit of a turnoff for some people. But yeah, using the Panda Touch made it super simple. Without further ado, I guess let's cue up the process of what it actually does when it's finished with that first print. So that's FarmLoop for the Bambu Lab P1P, P1S, and X1 Carbon. In the next video, we'll be checking out the FarmLoop system for the A1 and A1 Mini. Although I do believe the A1 Mini version is obviously slightly different because it's a smaller version. The printhead pusher thing should be the same, but the base itself is different between the A1 and A1 Mini. If you download the one I've got linked in the description below for the P1P, it'll work on the P1S as well as the X1 Carbon because it's the same frame for the machine. For the P1S and X1 Carbon, you will have to take the door off or at least prop it open with something, otherwise your parts won't be able to push off. And tilting the machine forward in my case, I just didn't think it was going to work very well, so I didn't choose to put those back riser feet on there, and it still was able to push the parts off just fine. So if you don't have space, kind of like I'm limited for space here with the P1P, don't fret. You can still use the FarmLoop system. You don't have to tip the machine forward, although you would get a little bit better results, I guess, from the system if it was tilted forward. It did take a couple extra push, but all in all, everything worked out just the way that it should. If you're interested in checking out the FarmLoop system from 3D Farmers, again, links are down in the description below, as well as a link to the MakerWorld files for each of these printers. I will catch you guys in the next one on the A1 Mini. Until then, take care and happy 3D printing, everybody.